Alright guys, so first of all, welcome back to school. Welcome to high school for some of you who are freshmen. I just wanted to go over kind of just a quick review of how to solve. So I'm scrolling down to the second page here if you're following along with me, and I'm just looking at 2C. I mainly wanted to pick these because the fractions in them, they can be kind of scary, and in order to kind of get over that, I just wanted to help you guys along with a few. So there's a couple things we can do here with this 1/3. We could start by distributing it, which is a perfectly fine thing to do first. So that would give us 1/3 x plus 2 is equal to x minus 6. Okay, and then from here, that 1/3 could still maybe be scary depending on how you feel about fractions. So what I like to do is I actually like to get rid of fractions. So when I see a third on the bottom right here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this entire thing and I'm going to multiply it by 3. So if I multiply the left side by 3, I also have to multiply the right side by 3, and then that won't change what I get for my x. So then when we multiply the left side by 3, we distribute the 3 in there. It's going to give us 3 times 1/3 is just 1. So 1x, 3 times 2 is 6. Then we do the 3 times the x, which is 3x, and then we do 3 times 6, which is then 18. So minus 18. Like that. And then from here, as you can see, we have all whole numbers now, and we can just solve for x. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to subtract that 1x to the other side, and then that's going to give me 6 is equal to 2x minus 18. Then I'm going to add the 18 to the other side. So when I do that, that's going to give us 24 is equal to 2x, and then we divide by 2. That gives us 12 is equal to x. Okay. And then from here, guys, you really could just plug this back in and double check that it works, right? So 12 minus 6 would just give us 6. And then 12 plus 6 would give us 18. 18 times 1/3 would also give us 6. So it looks like in both of these cases, when we plug in 12, we get 6 on the left and 6 on the right. So then 12 is definitely the answer. Okay, so let's take a look at one that's a little bit different. Now this is a fraction, but it is kind of a little bit more involved than the last fraction. So when we look at this, what you need to think about here, guys, is the opposite of PEMDAS. So PEMDAS, right, is how we always would do simplifying. It's our order of operations. So when we actually solve, what we're going to do is we do PEMDAS, but we do it backwards. So we would start here with the subtracting and adding, and then eventually make it all the way back to our parentheses. Okay? So what's going to happen here is this 3x minus 5, because it's divided by 2, is actually in a parenthesis. So before we're allowed to do anything here, we have to start by multiplying 2. So we multiply that 2 to the other side. That would give us 3x minus 5 is equal to 28. Okay, and then we add the 5 to the other side. That's going to give us 3x is equal to, what is that, to 33. And then we divide by 3 on both sides. That's going to give us x is equal to 11. And again, you just plug 11 right back in, guys. Make sure that that solution works. Okay, so that's kind of how backwards PEMDAS works, right? Instead of working in parentheses first, we worked with the division sign first, and then to undo division is multiplication. All right, one more example that I think will be super helpful for you guys on the homework is this one, 4C. So let's kind of just go through this one. As you can see, there are 2 different numbers in the denominator, and then there's 3 numbers that are fractions. Well, in order to get rid of those fractions altogether, we have to multiply by this thing called the least common denominator. And in most cases, the least common denominator is just all of the denominators multiplied together that are different. So because there's a 2, we would say 2. And then because there's a 3, we would multiply it by 3. So then our least common denominator is 6. The reason we don't use the second 2 is because 2 is already represented in the 1/2. So we only need to use 1, 2 when we multiply out to find the least common denominator. Okay, so now that we know the least common denominator, what we should do with that is we should take this whole thing and we're going to multiply it by the least common denominator. So what that's going to do is it's going to distribute the least common denominator to every single term in this equation. So then we're going to go 6 times 1/2 over here. So that's 6 times 1/2 gives us 3x. 6 times 4 gives us plus 24. And then 6 times negative 2/3. Okay, so 6 times negative 2/3 x, and then plus 6 times 1/2, which would just be 3. The reason I wrote this out was because I kind of wanted to talk about how I multiply fractions. What I do when I multiply fractions is I take the number and then I divide it by the 3. So I take 6 and divide it by 3. That's going to give us 2. And then now it's 2 times negative 2x. Notice the divided by 3 is gone and the 6 is gone because these two things became this 2. So then it's 2 times negative 2x, and that gives us negative 4x. So then our equation that we're working to solve is 3x plus 24 is equal to negative 4x plus 3. And now it just becomes a solving question that we've done 1,000 times. We add the 4x over, and we get 7x plus 24 is equal to 3. We subtract off the 24 from both sides. That gives us 7x is equal to, what is that? Negative 21. Divide by 7 from both sides. And then that's going to give us x is equal to negative 3.